The future to come in 20 to 30 years. Can it be predicted in the times of global uncertainty? How to map out the contours of the future so that they are more clear and bright. And what can be done by those who are today called the next generation?
Today in the program, Asan's formula. Mathematics is a tool for the development of thinking. Mathematics can be compared with weight training equipment in a fitness club, with the help of which muscles are strengthened and developed. As the task which a person solves becomes more complicated, he has more self-confidence. Modern children are no longer divided by states as it was before. Over time, they will cease to be divided by nationality and language. Asan Zholdasov is a mathematician. He is the founder of the School of Continuing Education, Pythagoras. He is a graduate of the Kazakh-British Technical University. Asan is a prize winner of international mathematics competitions. In 2018, he won the national project 100 New Faces of Kazakhstan. My sister, Bibi Batima, and I are twins. We were born on March 7th, 1989, in the city of Almaty. Mom raised us alone. People often ask to whom I owe my achievements. Of course, to my mom, and to my life counselor, my twin sister. When she got married, probably no one cried more than me. Mom brought me up a hard-working person, to rise and move on even if it's very difficult. Our family moved to a private house. We thought we moved to the outskirts of the city. Near our house, there was not a soul, and there was even no light. If a single car passed within an hour, that was good. Mom was happy that we finally had moved to the village. But in 5 to 6 years, our area has become elite one. Then we began to build our own house, step by step. In the 7th grade, we were told that we should follow in the footsteps of our father and enter a physical and mathematical school. From that moment, I began to prepare myself, but unfortunately, I failed. It was a big blow for me. At that time, our teacher, Otesh Agay, gathered those who did not enter and founded a physical mathematical class in our school. Every afternoon, he taught us to solve Olympiad problems. 6 months later, we were able to win the City Olympiad, since the winners of city competitions could enroll there without entrance exams. During 3 to 4 years, we competed in 35 countries under the auspices of the AIMO, International Olympiad. Before that, we took part in other tournaments, in Minsk, in Romania, at Balkan Olympiad, which is comparable to the European Championship. A lot of interesting things happened to us. When our team was in Mexico, we survived a tornado. When we participated in an international conference in Weizmann University in Israel, 2 weeks later, the war started there. It turns out that we survived the war. After graduating from school, I did not know which university to choose and enrolled in KBTU, simply because classmates entered there. At that time, I had no idea what programming was like. There was only a desire to learn something new. If you have already learned something at school, studying at the university is easy, so I had some free time. I helped build our family home, and when I was a first and second year student, I worked as a head coach at the Republican Physical and Mathematical School, from which I graduated. I taught those who were younger than me, only 1 or 2 years, and I had been friends with some of them before. They began to invite me to the jury, at first at the regional Olympiad, then the city one, and then at the Republican Olympiad. I was the youngest member of the jury.
5 жыл бойы жюри болып шықтым. Сол заманда Пифагор басталды.
At that time, I began to teach at the Pythagoras school. At the same time, I took part in a startup project. I have a very good friend, Nurjan Bakibayev. When he finished 4th year at KBTU, I entered the first. Together with Fuat Bey, our dean, he gathered the most talented students to implement a startup project called ESM. In our free time, we, sitting in the basement, developed program codes. We participated in competitions. Sometimes we won, sometimes lost. That was both my main job and hobby.
Уақытымды соған бөлгенмін негізі. Кейін 4-ші курсқа қарай бір түсінгенім, сол заманда IT-ға өте көңіл.
When I was a 4th year student, I realized that our country lacks necessary infrastructure to create IT products. For this reason, many of my friends had left for abroad. I was also invited to work in Google, but at that time, I taught almost 300 students. I could not leave them. On the other hand, I felt unhappy because I, the holder of a red diploma, worked as an ordinary teacher, while those who had studied worse than me got jobs in prestigious companies, earned big money, and did their careers.
Ақша тауып жатыр деп ойлайсың, должностьтар бар, өсіп жатыр деп ойлайсың. Қазақстанда жалпы бір жаман бір қағида бар, мұғалім деген.
Unfortunately, there is a stereotype in Kazakhstan that a teacher is not an indicator of the prestigious profession. I used to think so too. Why, instead of climbing the corporate ladder, I went down lower and lower, scattering my knowledge. That is, it is not the way of development.
Ең керемет даму системасы екен. Мұғалім болу. Бұған маған әсер еткен Фуат Бей мырза.
Looking back now, I understand that this is a development system. Fuat Bey, our dean, had a great influence on me. He had changed a lot in our lives. Once at Nazarbayev University, he wrote down on the blackboard the list of professions that could be learned by an intelligent, enterprising person. For example, if he opens a donor cafe, restaurant, car dealership, and so on. And he calculated what profit each of these entrepreneurs would receive in a month, half a year, and 5 years. But after we saw that those people would earn a lot of money by adulthood, Fuat Bey asked me an interesting question.
Кез келген салада керемет көп ақша табуға болатынын түсінгеннен кейін маған тағы бір қызық сұрақ қойды. Асан дейді. Жақсы, сен түсіндің ғой, кез келген профессияда жақсы.
Asan, you understand that in any profession there are opportunities to earn good money. But what do you think? What profession does our country need most? Who can bring real benefits to it?
Деген сұрақ қойды.
I had never thought about this question before. Of all those professions, it is the teacher who, in the realities of our economy and policy, is capable of causing the most powerful effect. Each hour of his work will benefit the country 1,000 times more than the work of a programmer. By teaching 10 to 15 people in a simple basement, you can prepare personnel who in a few years will become experts in their field. Indeed, some of my students had developed much.
10-15 адамды оқытып шығарсам, 10 жылдан кейін олардың бәрі бір саланы өзгертетін үлкен азаматтар болып өсуі мүмкін екенін түсіндім. Солай болып та шықты, әрқайсысы өсті, өнді. Кез келген баланың өзінен бір нәрсе шығаруға болады екен. Тек дұрыс еңбекпен.
You can get a result with any child. It is only necessary to operate them properly, trying to ignite a spark in them. In the Pythagoras school, I searched a lot, tried how best to arouse in children an interest in knowledge. Thanks to this, we have prepared so many wonderful children. The key to development is competition. We just have to give the proper task, indicate the right direction, and create the right motivation. If you go this route, you can get fantastic results. Education is generally an ongoing experiment. Before us, no one organized international Olympiads, no one invited participants from abroad, and no one was engaged with talented children. Many thought that nobody would be able of organizing this in our country. But we demonstrated that it was not so difficult to give a child a boost for growth. There was a lot of interesting things. A student of the humanities who studied French enrolled in our physics school and won 2 gold medals at the Olympiads. We turned a person who did not dream about mathematics into a winner of the Republican Olympiad. But there were cases when we did not achieve results. This happened if a talented student turned out to be a bummer. He did not want to solve math problems. It is important here to find the optimal formula, how to correctly evaluate talent, properly teach and educate a self-sufficient personality of a child. And we have been looking for this formula for 12 years.
Математика деген кез келген адамның
Mathematics is a tool for the development of thinking. Mathematics can be compared with weight training equipment in a fitness club, with the help of which muscles are strengthened and developed. As a task which a person solves becomes more complicated, he has more self-confidence. To change thinking, you need to develop logic and not be afraid to solve a variety of problems. It is important to arouse interest. Without this, a person cannot solve a problem. For 12 years, 11,000 students have graduated from the Pythagoras school, who won more than 1,000 medals. The highest result is the additional knowledge that we provide at our school.
болғанда мыңнан аса медаль алдық. Қосымша білім беру мектептерінің ішіндегі ең үлкен результат.
We have different students, and among them, there are a lot of talented ones. You can all think that they love only math. This is not true. We have children who are talented in music, in vocal art.
Балалар, қыздар бар. Әртүрлі деңгейлерге жетеді. Бір жалпы ортақ қағида жоқ деп айтайын.
These children achieve different successes, and these different children are united by one thing, mathematics. More precisely, by interest and love for mathematics. Today, we are an organization that organizes IMC, the International Mathematic Competition in Kazakhstan. This is our non-profit social activity. In Asian countries, children from a young age develop logical thinking because Koreans, Chinese, and Japanese are hardworking people. We are inferior to them in this, and Europe is even more behind. But while Asia is strong in line of thinking, Europe and America are strong in technology. Well, we are not there and not here.
Жалпы сабақ беру процесі тәсілі
Today, the methodology of teaching mathematics is changing rapidly. In some countries, our methodology is no longer used. We are behind in this, and many compared with us have gone far ahead.
орыстардың, американецтердің, соңғы жылда жақсы өсіп кеткендер Япония.
The Chinese, Koreans, Iranians, Americans, and Russians are very strong in mathematics. By the way, American team is represented mostly by the Chinese.
Жаңа есімнің өзін білмей тұрып
100 new faces. I was surprised when they named me the winner. This is also a kind of Olympiad. I was glad that our work was appreciated and the winners were determined by the president. I was very excited before the speech in his presence. For us, this was an intermediate result. For the first time, we were able to stop and reflect on what we had managed to do over the past time. And thanks to this, we have an incentive for the next breakthrough as well as faith in ourselves.
арман пайда болды. Өз-өзімізге сенім пайда болды.
I like music. In general, mathematicians are fond of music. My mom and I went to the concert of Dimash.
Жалпы бимен айналысам, гитара үйреніп жүрмін.
Music and dancing are very close to mathematics. We can count, understand, and feel the musical rhythm well. In general, all music is mathematics.
Сезім деген нәрсе бар ғой, математикалық. Бүкіл музыка ол математика. Қазіргі жастар әлемнің тез шапшаң өзгеріп жатқанын біліп жүрсе деймін.
I think that young people should be aware of all the changes that take place in the world. I dream that they learn English. Modern children are no longer divided by states as it was before. Over time, they will cease to be divided by nationality and language. Globalization today is so advanced that in the future, there will be completely different parameters of competition. It will not be easy for young people to meet those parameters. Therefore, they need to constantly update their knowledge, never stop to be in search.
Керегі әрқашан оқу, әрқашан тоқтамау, іздену.
Asan Zholdasov and his team dream of opening an education technology company in Kazakhstan. The goal of the project is to form a global system capable of teaching children mathematics starting from a young age. He has already laid the foundation for this at his Pythagoras school, where using the system created by Asan, children with different abilities study mathematics in Kazakh, Russian, and English from the 2nd to 11th grade.